He is one of the most successful high school boys cross-country coaches in California. Today, Tim Butler joins me to talk about the success of his programs and his 7-year journey to write his book, The Authentic Runner. More about life than running. I'm positive you'll be inspired. This is Coach's Corner. I'm Paul Higgins, and all the action starts right now. Hello everybody, I'm Paul Higgins and welcome to this edition of Coach's Corner. As you can tell, I am super excited about this show. Also very honored to have Coach Tim Butler back on my program. It was several years ago that he was on my program. Matter of fact, him and I can't even figure out when. I'll have to go back in the archives. But a very special show tonight, and of course, Coach, you and I have known each other a long time, and when we were separated by one thing or the other, an event or the TV shows that I do, I tracked your success, and still to this day, I'm amazed at the amount of great athletes that you have turned out. Also, the amount of championships on all levels that you have turned out. I had the great fortune of narrating your book, The Authentic Runner, and we're going to talk about that. This is my very worn out copy of The Authentic Runner. I've probably read it over 3, 4, 5 times, sometimes sections of it where I had a hard time pronouncing words for him. I read it over probably a dozen times, but you know what? Every word was worth it. And I want to ask you, how long did it take you to write this book, first of all?
Well, if you're talking about the story that I give there, it's been about 60 years.
Yeah.
Okay, because I've lived it.
Yeah.
But to actually write it, knowing that I'm just a PE major, I'm not an English major, it took me over 5 years.
Okay.
And what happened was it was a compilation of most of the stuff that I was giving my boys, my team, but I never wrote it down. And so what I did is I started documenting it. Then I started taking some of the points and some of the areas that I wanted to emphasize, and I did some research, and I did some more research, and I did some more reading, and so finally I composed that. The last couple years was pretty much putting all that together and tying all my ideas all together, and being a rookie, you know, it's ironic that...
A 60-year rookie, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's ironic because I tell people I was writing a paper. I wrote a paper for my master's class back in 1980.
Right.
And I gave, the prof gave the paper back to me and said, Mr. Butler, when are you going to learn how to write? So here I am, you know, 65 years old, 66 years old, writing a book, which I never thought I'd ever do.
Right.
And I did.
Well, you know what? It's interesting. This book is a journey. It's pretty much just like a cross-country meet or a track event. There is a beginning, a middle, and an end, and a journey that takes you on this book. And what's interesting about it is when I started to read it, I took different sections of the book to read it first to see how I would read it. And the one thing that you do is the main emphasis of the book are the 5 C's. And this book is not really about running. It's about life. It's about Christianity. It's about faith. It's about becoming a man, a person, a person that's respected too, which is really what I enjoyed about it. I'm kind of getting the chills, to be honest with you, as I did when I read the book. But it's based on the 5 C's, and if I can share that with you. The 5 C's coming from Coach Tim Butler, and this is what he shared with his team. Each and every athlete, whether they liked it or not, were subject to the 5 C's. And whether they agreed at it in the beginning, they certainly found out what the 5 C's were and are after their career, and actually during their career at cross-country running and track and field at Dana Hills. But they are control, contact, contentment, commitment, and character. And I know we only have a short time because we're going to be joined by your wife and also an athlete that's now a coach, which is really amazing because you've turned out several of those. But in a nutshell, how did you come up with the 5 C's? Was it on purpose, or was it by accident, or did you steal it? What happened?
Everything that I have in my book is borrowed. It's nothing original, but the actual start of those 5 C's came from a 2-year study I made in the book of Proverbs. And I realized that I needed to write my philosophy down. What I wanted, what I believed, and what I wanted to, what kind of outcome I wanted. And so I took about a 2-year journey into Proverbs, read it 100 times, and just made notes and made comments about how it related to running and how it related to life.
Sure.
And so as I did that, I came up with that about 1982, 83. Then what I did was, it took me another 10 years to actually come up with the 5 C's. In other words, making it something that could be put on just one page for my parents and my kids, not too lengthy, where all they see is a blah, 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 but they see something that they could remember, and so that's how I came up with it. It probably took me my first 20 years to finally get it written down and finally formalize it.
You are a man and a coach that is not easy. You go at these guys, and at first they're, who is this guy? What's this guy all about? But after a while, they get it. And there's many, many, many examples in the book. That's what I love about the book, because you don't just hear Coach Butler's writing, you hear the words of the athletes and also the words of the coaches. And of course, the words of your wife as well, Mimi. But you are a hard coach.
Yeah.
I should say a tough coach.
I always prided myself in being tough but fair. And even my students in classroom, when they came back and talked to me and said, you helped me this way and this way, they said, you were, but you were fair, and we knew that, or we felt you loved me.
Yeah, and I think that's it. That's what I got from the book. Now, how much joy did you get out of writing the book? Was it a painful joy? Was it one of those things where I can't wait to get this done? Tell me about that real quickly.
It was, I went the full gamut. One of the things
Did you cry a lot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Alone.
Yeah.
Alone. Because as I share my story.
Don't tell anyone.
Oh. As I share, stuff about my son and about my relationship with my dad, those were tough things that took me years, baggage and stuff to work through as a person.
Right.
But then there were other times where, I get to share the experience that I had with the 1988 team, my first state team, and a bunch of other huge victories, personal victories that I saw kids go through, and the things that they had to overcome. Bottom line is, the kids, my athletes, are the heroes in this book.
And I want to talk about that. And one of the heroes in your life is your wife, Mimi. And she's going to join us on the show. When we come back on Coach's Corner, a very special guest. And I will tell you, in the 30 years that I've been doing sports television, I've never had a coach's wife on my show until tonight. It's special. We'll be back after this. Mission Basilica School is a Catholic parochial school with single-grade classrooms from pre-kindergarten through 8th grade.
We have absolutely the best to offer in education. We don't just educate the child academically. They are nurtured spiritually. They are guided through their spiritual journey. They are loved, every being of them.
A blue ribbon school for academic excellence, located on the beautiful grounds of Mission San Juan Capistrano, Mission Basilica School.
Why go anywhere else for your remodel project when you can find everything here at Decor and Tile? Our expert staff has years of experience, which is passed on to you whether you are a homeowner, contractor, or designer. At Decor and Tile, we make your project easy with our beautiful and unique showroom filled with tile, stone, decorative glass, wood tile, granite, and quartz like Pentel, Caesarstone, and USA Cambria. Find out why Decor and Tile is the most referred showroom in South Orange County. Come in, call, or visit us on the web today.
Hello everybody, welcome back to this edition of Coach's Corner. So happy you can join me, and I know that you're going to get a lot out of this show, because one of the reasons we want you to watch the show is because we want you to pick up the book, The Authentic Runner by Tim Butler. Of course, local in the area. He grew up in this area. He also graduated in this area from high school and went to Saddleback College and did some great things in college as well. But also he married a beautiful person. And this is Mimi Butler joining us now. And Mimi, thank you so much for joining us on this edition of Coach's Corner.
Thank you.
And I know that I made you a little nervous because I said, I've never had a wife of a coach on the show.
Correct.
I've been doing this a long time, and this is an honor for me, you know, so I hope you have a good time.
We'll see.
So first and foremost, you guys just sitting here, there is a love between the two of you. It seems like, even if it was yesterday at San Clemente High School back in 1969. Why so much love for this guy?
Oh dear, 25 words or less. Well, we date back even farther than that. We met when we were 10 years old on T Street in San Clemente.
Yeah. Should have bought some houses back then.
I was a cheerleader at the Mission Grammar School, and he played basketball for Concordia Grammar School. And when we played against each other, I cheered for him, of course.
Yeah.
Then San Clemente High School, I was a cheerleader, he was a football player, and we just hung out in groups and stuff. And finally, 15 years old, we started dating. Got married at 21 years old, and we've been married 44 years next month.
So there's no rebate, nothing.
No,
you know?
no.
You stuck it out.
I just decided to stick out with him. But two things. Number one, God first in our life.
Yeah.
That's major, major. And number two, just because things get hard, you just don't quit.
Right.
And so many people this day and age, they just quit. It's easier to just say, oh, forget it, give up.
Yeah.
But we've had our challenges.
Sure.
We've raised 3 children. We have our challenges.
Right.
But I'm not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere.
You're reading the book, the kids always, in the book, the athletes, many of them refer to you as their second mom. And of course, Coach Butler.
Yes.
And I think they learn a lot about Coach Butler through you. Did you sense that? Because they would probably tell you things that they wouldn't tell Coach Butler.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Nick Smith, who you're going to have up next, his brother Scotty ran for us. His freshman year, we were at Mount Sac, and big rule was don't get on skateboards when you're running. Well, he got on a skateboard and he fell and he broke his arm. He comes up to me. He says, will you go with me to go tell Coach Butler so I can stand behind you because he won't hit you? Not that he would have hit Scotty, but that was the mentality.
Yeah.
They came to me first. And, you know, we've taken the kids to Hawaii several years.
Yeah.
And they would come to me and say, okay, this is what happened. Can you go tell Coach Butler what
Right.
happened?
Yeah.
Because I was a little softer approach.
Right.
But I love these kids, and I can't tell you how many sons we have. And it's just a pleasure to be with those kids 24/7.
It's amazing reading the book and learning about athletes that had no intention of running. Maybe they came out because it was a PE class or there was something going on, and coach would say, this isn't PE, and you've got to finish this. And I don't think people realize how great of an athlete, and you still are, because you surf every day, I'm sure you run. You have those board meetings that you talk about. But you were an athlete of the year in Orange County in the sport of football, correct? And
Well,
you
I
played
was
football at Saddleback.
Yes, I did. I was athlete of the year at San Clemente High School.
Right.
But I did football and track.
Right.
And
I was right. Why are you correcting me? God, does he do that all the time?
Yes, he does.
Jeez. I'm on your side. All right?
Yeah. But then I went to Saddleback, played some football.
Right.
Started my second year, got injured, and ended up at Biola University,
Right.
where I could run.
Yeah.
And finished up my athletic career there, being able to go to the national meet, the NAIA national meet, 2 years, and that was quite an experience.
You, it's interesting because watching you and reading the book and then learning about you, it actually took me a number of pages to realize that you didn't coach girls. And I have to ask your wife, why didn't he coach girls?
Let's see, how can I say this delicately on television? It's not his forte.
Okay.
But after we had our own daughter, who's, I have always tell people she's first one in line for strong-willed children, which she is a soccer coach at an all-boys school now, which is interesting. But he got a little bit more idea of what it was to have a girl athlete.
Right.
And there were some girls that he did great with coaching them, and they would come to him and ask him for advice. But the ones that are a little bit more on the sensitive side, he didn't do as well with.
Okay.
Is that saying it nicely?
Yeah, that is. A little, I got you.
He's a boys coach.
Yeah,
He's definitely a guys coach.
I'm not going to let you talk a lot in this segment, okay? 'Cause I only have
He's
a short
definitely
time.
a guys coach.
Mimi, why is he successful? Why was he successful? He retired in 2015 from coaching, but I have a sneaking suspicion he still creeps out there and coaches.
We're at every race,
Yeah.
every meet.
But
We wouldn't miss
why
it.
was he so good at what he does?
Oh gosh.
Is it the 5 C's? Is
The
it
5 C's, and he's consistent. Consistent with his coaching, consistent with his life. Yes, he's a tough coach, but he's like that. If number 1 on his team does something and the last kid on his team does something, they're treated the same way. So the kids know that it's a fair program. And he has gotten some great athletes. It's not just, he doesn't turn these kids into great athletes. Some of them are great kids.
Right.
And we've had wonderful kids, wonderful, wonderful kids in cross country. And I wouldn't trade it for a minute.
What kind of advice, and I know you have given this before, and if the coaches' wives at Dana Hills, I hope they're smart enough to say, hey, I need to go to Mimi for some advice. Did you dish out advice? Would you make yourself available? And have you been asked?
I have been asked. I knew when I married Tim, he loved sports.
Yeah.
I grew up in Capitol Beach at the Little League field. I had 3 brothers, and one of them was even drafted by Detroit Tigers.
Excellent.
So I lived in baseball. But when we got married, I knew he wanted to coach. And he came home and said, I'm the cross-country coach at Dana Hills. And I stood there and looked at him, and I said, you're the what? Because he had never run cross-country before.
Right.
His first cross-country race that he ever went to was the one he coached the first time. But I figured I either jump on the bandwagon and be with him, or I'm at home by myself.
Right.
And I chose to jump on the bandwagon, and I'm so glad I did. So coaches' wives, they either are in the program or they're out.
And
you can't be half and half.
Because marriages break up. Because
Definitely.
of time apart.
Definitely.
And so you decided to jump in and help out, and
Yes.
you benefited the boys in the program. I told you when you walked in that the 8 minutes you'd be on would go by like that.
Yes.
So I'm coming to the conclusion of the 8th minute. And I have to ask you, would there be anything that you've done differently over all the time? Because he could have coached any sport and he would have been successful.
Yes, he probably could have coached football.
Yeah.
But he also saw the time that football took, more than cross country took. And we had 3 children. We had 3 children very close together. So the years when they were young, it was hard, but they got dragged to a lot of races. They were running around Dana Hills before they went to Dana Hills. They knew everything and everyone at Dana Hills.
Right.
Craig Dunn, who's now the head coach at Dana, used to put our daughter in trash cans at Dana when he was on the team. He's going to love me saying that. But
I think it's in the book.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I don't know what I would have done different. I really don't, because I just want to be there for the kids. And our kids, they were really good, our 3 children, about going to things with Dad, being at the meets. Our one son, Steven, followed Tim around at all the track meets. It was great.
You know, as an
I love
athlete,
it.
I participated in wrestling, and I was a skateboarder back in the day, and I remember one of the best and most memorable wrestling matches I had was a freshman when I was at San Clemente, and it was held at Dana Hills High School. It was a freshman tournament. Coach, I wish I would have went to Dana Hills, and I wish I would have ran cross country because you would have made me a better man. I know that.
Thank you.
Yeah. You got a great wife.
The best. I got the best.
First time ever I've had
Thank
a
you.
wife of a coach on the show, and I tell you what, it's going to be the last time because no one's going to beat that.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
That was awesome,
All right.
Amy. Thank you. So when we come back, very special athlete, Nick Smith, who graduated in 2007 from Dana Hills High School. He's got a very, very heartwarming story, plus a successful story. Him right after this.
Why go anywhere else for your remodel project when you can find everything here at Decor and Tile? Our expert staff has years of experience, which is passed on to you whether you are a homeowner, contractor, or designer. At Decor and Tile, we make your project easy with our beautiful and unique showroom filled with tile, stone, decorative glass, wood tile, granite, and quartz like Pentel, Caesar Stone, and USA Cambria. Find out why Decor and Tile is the most referred showroom in South Orange County. Come in, call, or visit us on the web today.
Mission Basilica School, located in historic San Juan Capistrano, is a blue ribbon school focused not only on quality education but spiritual enlightenment, creating a learning environment that's second to none.
I love the feel of the school and what it brings.
They're wonderful kids, have great family lives. They are brothers and sisters once they reach the campus.
A blue ribbon school for academic excellence, located on the beautiful grounds of Mission San Juan Capistrano.
Hello everybody, I'm Paul Higgins and welcome back to this edition of Coach's Corner. Of course, we're talking about the authentic runner, and this is penned by Coach Tim Butler from Dana Hills High School. Very successful coach, as we've talked about, and also want to thank his wife, Mimi Butler, for joining us on the show. She endured all my questions, and I asked her some difficult ones about this guy right here, her husband. But now we're joined by another great guest, and literally we could line up the guests down the hallway here in our studio to talk about you and what you've done. But what are you most proud about with Nick Smith? He graduated in 2007, went on to UCLA. He got a degree in mathematics, correct me whenever I'm wrong. And also he is now teaching and he's coaching. Even talked maybe about coaching some volleyball at Dana Hills High School. But what are you most proud about what he has accomplished?
Well, I think a couple things. One was the ability to go through what he did as a freshman. And it pleased me to death that the 5 C's actually, helped him, in life.
Right.
But right now, I'd say, in the present, is the way Nick communicates with his students and coaches. He's a real good communicator, and he does such a good job with the kids. I envy him.
That's a credit to you. And Nick, we could talk to you for hours about your career and what you've done. And what Coach is referring to is when you were a freshman, you became ill, debilitating. Mm-hmm. And throughout your career at Dana Hills High School, you had to overcome that. Your older brother was on the team, and you watched the success of Dana Hills, and you could not participate the way you wanted to. Can you just share briefly about what happened to you your freshman year, and then how you overcame that, and then relating maybe to the 5 C's that Coach talked about? A lot there, sorry.
Sure, yeah, I'll take a swing at it. Yeah, as Coach said, at the end of my freshman year, I became ill with a neurological illness called transverse myelitis. Took away a lot of my strength, and I wasn't able to fully compete with the team for the rest of my time at Dana.
You're being generous because you couldn't even walk.
Yeah, there was a brief spell there where I was up at Chalk, bedridden because I couldn't walk, and it took quite a bit of physical therapy over several years to get back to the point where I could run again, and I was just never able to compete at the same level as I was hoping to. Kind of seeing the success of my older brother, who's actually still at it. He's went on to Santa Barbara and still runs professionally as a marathoner. So I think the pedigree was there with my family, and so I kind of expected that same success for myself. And so when that was taken away, I definitely had to rely on the other lessons the program was trying to impart on me, and that it imparts on all the kids who come through. Right. I mean, 7 kids a year get to be varsity athletes, and we have 50 boys in the program this year. So they are obviously getting something. Those other 40 kids who aren't on the varsity squad are getting some value. And so I was able to lean on that during my own time as an athlete, and it's just beyond a privilege and a blessing to be able to be a part of the other end now as a coach and see that process continue each year.
At the time, and knowing that he and his wife Mimi are faith-oriented people, God first. Mm-hmm. Do you feel as though that, and you just mentioned blessing, it wasn't a blessing at the time that you were hurt, that you were ill. but you were also an inspiration to your team, and they realized that. Do you think God put you in that position for that reason? Not to get too philosophical here, but do you think that was your role and that was for a reason, or was that just unlucky?
You know, I mean, I would call it more unlucky. I don't really ever feel, or I didn't feel that I was like a good luck token, or maybe I was helping people at the time. I didn't have that sense, and people might think otherwise, but I think more so I'm able to look back now and just see the trajectory of my own life, how it changed from that moment, and see that God was absolutely working through that in my own life, and obviously, hopefully now through other lives, as I'm able to use those lessons that I learned as an athlete and hopefully impact current athletes.
Coach, he's humble to a point. You know, he is, I don't want to say to a fault. I hate when people say that. You were very humble. And that reflects in his coaching and in his teaching now. And I guess that is what you teach.
Yeah, that's true. And he got a lot of stuff that we were trying to teach him. And that is definitely one attribute. The thing is each one of our boys that we talk about in my book, and all of them, of course, I think those are lessons that we not only talk about, but we iterate, you know, almost weekly. You know, when kids are interviewed, when they come up against opponents that they beat. We just say, you guys, be humble, be gracious, don't be arrogant, and this is the way you need to act, because those people are people that are actually your friends. They are helping you to be better, and so you need to treat them with respect, instead of we hate you, you're our enemies. Those are some of the lessons we taught the kids as we go through the practice sessions and, of course, through the meets.
And I know we have a very brief amount of time here, and I could spend a long time talking to both of you. The one thing that I learned from Coach's book, it's about the team, even though it's individual that you run. And you find out about yourself when you run and you push yourself to extremes, but it's about the team. And what I learned is that you don't want to fail for the team, even though you're an individual. Did you get that sense too, and are you teaching that as well?
Absolutely. I think cross country is often misunderstood as an individual sport, but it is such a team endeavor. And the effort that our boys put in every day is incredible, and it's only possible because they understand that there is this selflessness to what they're doing, which is often absent in a lot of other sports where there is more of a attention grabbing.
You mean these days?
Yeah. And so it's really incredible to see the amount of effort that the kids put in, not for their own benefit, and they do benefit from it, but ultimately for the boys around them.
I don't want to give Nick's story away. I want you to read it. It's a phenomenal story. He's in the book. He talks about what happened to him, what Coach means to him and continues to mean to him. I want to thank you. You did a great job.
Thank you.
And I know that you are super busy and you have many speaking engagements and many writing assignments to get to. I thank you. And I thank you for involving me.
Thank you for helping.
I really do. You have changed my life.
Good.
By reading your book several times.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah, and you, fantastic.
Yeah,
thank you. Congratulations on your success and his continued success. If you're a student of Nick, you know that you're in good hands because Coach Butler is right there with you. I want to thank also Mimi Butler for joining us on this edition of Coach's Corner. Once again, the book is The Authentic Runner. The title does not really depict what this book is about. There's so much more than running in this book, and I think you'll for surely enjoy it. So, Coach, once again, thank you. I appreciate you guys watching. And again, this has been Coach's Corner. I'm Paul Higgins, and we'll see you next time.